Good morning. My name is Christopher Davis, the fire chief with the City of Enterprise. Mayor William Cooper is next to me, and we're going to be doing an update on the fire for downtown Enterprise that happened on Sunday. Early Sunday morning, a passerby called 911 to report smoke coming from the corner of College and Main. Once on scene, firefighters made a great effort and began gaining entry to control the fire and smoke. By mid-afternoon, the active fire was contained. Since then, we have maintained a presence downtown, closing down College Street from Railroad to Main Street. That's an abundant effort to make sure that we don't have any issues in that area. On Sunday, we actually requested investigators, and on Monday, investigators from the Alabama State Fire Marshal's office assisted us with the beginning of an investigation. From the evidence reviewed, and all the investigators agree that the fire started near the kiln and the All About Art Studio, and that the fire was accidental. I do want to take a moment to thank the people and businesses that have helped over the past few days. Chief Stevens and Troy Fire Department assisted us with a crew and a ladder truck. They did a phenomenal job, and that allowed us to focus our efforts towards the residential structure, which obviously we wanted to make sure that we were stopping the fire before it continued down Main Street. Enterprise Rescue were on scene to help with rehab and making sure that our firefighters was in good shape and to assist with any injuries in the area. Arnold Woodham, who's obviously an old friend of Enterprise Fire Department, he retired from Enterprise Fire at my direction and very much appreciated, made contact with Elba Fire, New Brockton Fire, and those agencies, although not directly related to this fire, came to our aid and staged on Main Street to make sure that they could handle any calls that we had while we were occupied. The city departments, Enterprise Police Department, as soon as the call went out, Enterprise Police swamped the area and they were able to get there on scene before anybody and pass information on to dispatch. Enterprise Dispatch is part of the police department, but they're very, very special, excellent, very professional. Were able to give us as much information as they could prior to our arrival. Engineering and Public Works, Barry Mott and Shannon Roberts with Engineering and Public Works was able to help us a great deal. Barry actually coming in as a structural engineer to assist us in determining whether it was safe to be around the perimeter of those buildings. Obviously, collapse was a concern. And Alan Mahan with the Water Department. I had a question for him, turned around, and there he was, already on scene. So he was able to help us make sure that we had plenty of water, and we very much appreciate that. I'd like also to give a quick thanks to those that provided food and drink. McDonald's, Black Cat Bake Shop and Kitchen, Cafe Roma. Milky Moo's not only provided food, but opened up their store so the guys could have a break. Sanders & Sons, Deep South Builders, Enterprise Chamber of Commerce, Navigator International, members of CERT, and obviously the City Council, Administrator Tullis, and the Mayor, who was on scene the entire time, was very helpful and provided any aid that they could. To all the volunteers, I want to thank you for your support, the pride that people have in Enterprise. It is amazing. I believe somebody said the other day that it made them bring back the Enterprise idea, and that definitely was shown on Sunday. If I left anybody out, and I'm sure that I did, I apologize. Your efforts were greatly helpful. It's one thing to have to worry about mitigating a scene. It's an entire another when you're also having to make decisions like where are these guys going to get some kind of fluids to hydrate or something to eat. They and their assistants took that off of our plate, and that is greatly appreciated. It may seem like a small effort. It's not. It's extremely helpful. To my crew, the Enterprise Fire Department, we made a decision early to call everybody in. And I just want, I'm not going to get misty here, but I'm going to be honest with you. We have the best men and women fire department, bar none. They showed up. They could have easily ignored their phones. They showed up in force, willing to work. Multiple senior firefighters and officers who entered some of the structures stated that it was the hottest one they'd ever been into. And they went into that blind, without being able to see a thing. So, not to get mushy, but to every single person that showed up, our crew, you're my heroes, I absolutely appreciate it. If there's anything anybody didn't like, that's my responsibility. The success of this, and understand it was a success, was on the shoulders of the men and women of the Enterprise Fire Department. All right. Do I have any questions?
Let me ask you, if you didn't have that rapid response, these are century-old buildings. Was there a danger of this fire going from building to building and basically taking out downtown?
Absolutely. And I think that you'll find any fire chief in the nation that has an old Main Street like ours. We're very proud of it, obviously. But 100 years or more of changes, adjustments in roofs, changes to the firewalls make them a hazard. In fact, we started monitoring on the opposite side of 104 Main Street just to make sure that that it didn't get past us, and that was a heavy concern.
Would these businesses be considered a total loss at this point?
That is absolutely up to the insurance investigators and the insurance adjusters. I had a conversation yesterday where they were leaning towards them being a loss. I hate to see that, but if that is the case, obviously, I hope that they come back and rebuild.
And have those roads been, the ones that were closed down, have they been reopened?
College Street from Main to Railroad is still closed. And that's, I don't know when I'm going to open it back up. I apologize for any inconvenience. Everybody has been understanding, but I do not plan on letting this get out of control.
Mayor, let me just ask you, what kind of feedback have you gotten from fellow mayors and just a response you've gotten from the community following this fire?
I've gotten responses from several of the mayors offering their help and whatever they could do, and they were really, really supportive of the fire department and Chief Davis for the work that was done in trying to not let that fire just go down Main Street, and to all of the other fire departments that came to our aid and to help, to get things in perspective, whereas that our fire department, in case that there were other calls that they could answer those calls, and we could continue to stay downtown and fight the fire. But everything that we've gotten has been positive, and it's saying how we work together in unity and trying to get everything put together. So that's really been a plus for us.
And what are kind of the next steps, I guess, for you guys in this?
Well, for the fire department, obviously our focus is like I said, we're going to be maintaining a presence. We're utilizing that block of College Street. I do not know when we're going to leave that or open any of that up. I think it will be soon, but I'm not making any promises. Again, I'll shut it down for a month if it means that we're not damaging any more buildings on Main Street.
How about as far as when you broke the news to the owners of All About Art about the how it was caused? I guess it was probably an emotional moment for them. As you say, it was a total accident, and it must have been. That's probably hard to take, I would think.
Well, obviously they were grief stricken. They've been important members of our downtown business community. All About Art for 13 years. There's a massive number of citizens, including myself, that have spent a great deal of time there with our children and everything else. That's their whole livelihood. So our goal is to support them in any way that we can. But obviously they were hurt, and hopefully they'll be able to come up with a good plan. I know the city is trying to help them in any way possible, and they're working with their insurance companies now. Hopefully they'll get quick restitution and everything will be good.
Mayor, can I just ask you, what's kind of your message right now to the community as we face, the days and years to come with the rebuilding process and such?
Well, first of all, we need to leave it up to the firemen to make sure that their job is complete downtown. And we need to leave it up to the builders, the people that's going to be going in there with the construction of the buildings to stay, way and allow them to do their job, because we have barricades around downtown now, so that nobody will just end up, some of the buildings and whatnot, because still there's danger there, as far as something might cave in or just what. But all in all, we just ask our citizens to be patient and to be supportive. And what we are trying to do is to do what we need to do to get those buildings back in place and to make sure that nobody's injured as we are working on it. Give the firemen and whoever else is in charge now the chance to do their job.
And what kind of made you guys think that it started near the Kiln area, kind of when you guys were investigating?
There was an excellent investigation that was performed, and like I said, utilizing the Alabama Fire Marshal's office. We have a very good working relationship. We use quite a few signs, from burn patterns to the most damaged area, least damaged area, witness statements. All of the downtown businesses have been extraordinarily helpful in providing us anything that we need to try to help determine that. Past that, because this is an investigation that has to continue with insurance agencies, all that I have to say about it from my office is that we know it was accidental, and the focus there should be, at least we know that there was no malicious intent.
And then when you guys fight a fire like this, because you said that, like somebody said it was the hottest fire that they've kind of had a fire, what kind of changes when you guys are fighting a fire like that?
Say that one more time.
Like how does it change the way you guys are like fighting this kind of fire when it is hotter, or it's like maybe coming from a different area or something different maybe you guys haven't seen?
Well, I mean, one of the tactics we had to use was we were originally attempting to go upstairs on the interior. We had to change that and go in from a balcony on one of them. That was an extremely hot area. That was the area that was referred to. All of the tactics, every one of our firefighters went back on their training, and they did the right thing. This was just an extremely hazardous environment. But they knew that that's where it had to stop, and they did a phenomenal job. Again, you're going to hear me say it every time I have the opportunity. Every single member of the Enterprise Fire Department could not be prouder of it. They did a phenomenal job.
Mayor, you went through the tornado 16 years ago. Just your thoughts, would you rank this situation amongst some of the worst situations that you have seen within the city?
Well, with the tornado, of course, there was the loss of lives, and of course a lot of property, was destroyed. But even with this, any time that you have property destroyed in such a situation, especially downtown there, you look at the number of people that are without jobs now due to the fact that those buildings burned, So again, we're sympathetic with what went on with the tornado as well as downtown. Anytime that you have a casualty as we've had, those things really bring back remembrance each time we have something of that sort. But again, this was different than the tornado because of the fact that it was a situation where the firefighters along with first responders, but then with this tornado, then you had the police with first responders, Fort Rocket, Dothan, and everybody else coming in here trying, to help us, and to have, 8 students that lost their lives over at the high school, and it was just a different situation altogether.
And just to expand on that, just a hair, we have had fires in downtown before. The downtown community, at every single one of them that I am aware of, which goes back a little while, we've had the same response, is that Enterprise has banded together as it always does, always has, every time we have had an issue. And we've come together and we've made progress, and we've come back better than we were before. Our support now needs to be with those business owners, and we need to focus on them and making sure that they can get back to their livelihoods.
And I guess talk about like the kind of all the downtown like businesses coming together, because they kind of did, especially after a day where thousands, were downtown for the Boll Weevil Fall Festival, and now they've come together to support each other and helping, get artifacts out of the building, like 2 buildings down from where, the fire was, and kind of coming together to support the businesses affected.
Well, just that, exactly as you mentioned. At one point, I looked over, and there was about the largest crowd. There was quite a large crowd behind us, every single one of them with their phones out, trying to take pictures and video. And then I looked over, and there was an extraordinarily large crowd just making way with item after item, pictures, photos, filing cabinets. Including, if I'm not mistaken, some of the people that obviously had just lost their livelihood. Everybody came together. That's the kind of people that we have here in Enterprise, and that's one of the reasons that I'm proud to live here. If there's nothing further, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.